Let me repeat that one more time. Our forefathers vested the entire civil government in each and every one of us. Each one of us has more civil authority on the land than the entire federal government. They did this so that no foreign entity could claim that they have established exclusive legislative jurisdiction over Americans, which is required before any foreign power can claim victory in a war and seize American land. Do not ever say or think that there is no legitimate government. We are our own legitimate government. That is why we are, each and every one of us, sovereign beings. You've seen and heard reports from news agencies as they quote, FBI reports, disparaging the sovereign citizen movement. Ooh, they call them terrorists. Yes, they do. Are you starting to get a clue as to who the terrorists are? I've seen them face to face. They're an evil lot, whether they know it or not, and they can't help but know it. Do not ever think, do not ever say that there is no legitimate government. We are our own legitimate government. That is why we are, each and every one of us, sovereign beings. There is no way that any foreign power can claim victory over us so long as there is one American living and breathing on the land. That is what you and everyone else here has to understand. And that is what makes America different and exceptional. That is the reason that we are not and cannot be overtaken and defeated in the fake war they have launched and pursued for the past 100 years. So long as one of us draws a breath and remembers this fact, there is no way for them to ever declare victory. So stop pushing the red buttons, please. We are not there yet. And just because some of these things, such as the 2011 UCC filings that you have on this website, are just now coming into the purview of this particular group, does not mean that nothing has happened in 3 years since then. In fact, a lot has happened. And most of it doesn't have to do with treason. Most of it has to do with reason, which is needed now. While you guys are running around, oh my God, we've been defrauded. You've been defrauded for 150 years, okay? You were defrauded before you were born. Just because you suddenly realize that you are being defrauded changes nothing, except your awareness of the situation and hopefully your ability to change the situation. Others of us have been aware since 1995. We haven't been standing still. We have gone to Rome and sued the Vatican for breach of trust. We have brought lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. We have claimed back vacated offices. We have laid huge commercial liens against the perpetrators. We have fought most of this fight already. We have slogged through the entire commercial due process regimen in all our behalfs. We have corresponded with bank officials, foreign governments, state governments, law enforcement agencies, and on and on. Just because you are just now waking up doesn't mean that all the other Americans have been asleep. And obviously she's a little upset because, frankly, we're excited. We really are. We're excited to find this information and to be tying this stuff together for the first time. So I don't blame her. She's been after it for 19 years. So she says, let's start with the 2011 UCC filings you guys just discovered. Those are 3 years old. The creditors named have already booted up another fiat monetary system and issued more notes. United States Treasury notes. That is, they have offered the world the same old crap, and guess what? The rest of the world has already said no. That's what the BRIC Alliance is all about. That is why other Americans have already taken action to claim back the assets of the United States of America, already taken actions to prevent Obama's mercenary commercial armies acting under the guise of being federal agencies from unleashing violence on our shores, already taken action to build a new, viable monetary system based on commodities. You are years behind the curve, and you don't have all the information you need to rightly know how to interpret what you are seeing. So please just stop and spend a few days to learn. You've been defrauded all your lives. Another week won't change anything, but it will change your ability to fight this battle, and it will increase the chance of a peaceful resolution. I don't know what to do about Google, she says. They are bullied by the federal corporation and probably don't know what they are dealing with anymore than most people have. But she goes on to please don't say we have a legitimate government. When you say things like that, it plays into their hands. That is precisely what they want us to say and think, because then they can claim that they have established exclusive legislative jurisdiction over us and that they are the victors in this endless war. Do you get that? If we say that there is no legitimate government, we are precluding ourselves from being the rightful government. Instead, we must remember the birthright we are heir to and use that to squelch the vermin. She said, as I said in my big letters message, the entire civil government of this country is vested in each and every one of us. That's how we came to be sovereign without subjects in the first place. It is what makes America unique through the world. We are under no obligation to ever convene a Congress if we don't want to. But we should realize by now that our failure to watch over our own affairs and run our own government has resulted in this mess. I'm sure a lot of us have come to that conclusion for a while now. A lot of the people go bonkers when they are first confronted with the depth, breadth, and width of the fraud. They seize hold of one corner of it and start ripping and tearing in an ignorant fashion, and that does not serve the cause. You see it all over. There are thousands of people now with one piece of the jigsaw puzzle or a few pieces, and they think that that is all that there is to it. But no, this is truly vast. That has developed over the past 150 years. Hey, I'm guilty of that too. So, single issue people out there, I hope you take this message. What needs to happen is for people to approach this coldly, humbly, and methodically, everyone bringing their pieces of the puzzle forward and working on it together. Well, put yourself in their moccasins. Most of them were and are just as ignorant as anyone else when they got into office. Only about 5 to 10% of them ever realize the truth, and they manipulate the others. So here we come, and we tell them, hey, you are impersonating public officials. You are crooks. So far as they know, they ran for public office and they won fair and square, and they don't know what you're talking about. More than that, they don't want to know what you're talking about because that puts them in line for a gray striped suit or a giblet or a gibbet, whatever a gibbet is. It scares them silly. That is why forgiveness is the key. We tell them we forgive them. We acknowledge that this is a rotten situation all around, and we offer to work with them to restore a lawful government. We bring forward what their limitations and responsibilities really are. We insist that our rights and contracts be respected. We press for our material interests and those of our states and brethren. We insist that they take a proper oath of office, and we plod forward, and we don't give up, and we don't look back. For her, she says, that's been my modus operandi for 3 decades. Just get up every day, teach one more person, contact one more policeman, write one more letter, give one more radio interview, file one more lawsuit, issue one more subpoena. The big secret about the Bar Association is simple. This is a biggie. And by the way, this is for you, Dennis, my friend Dennis Schulke. In 1845, the then Pope and British monarch, excuse me, in 1845, the then Pope and the British monarch, both of whom were honor-bound to act as trustees for the United States Trust, and both of whom acted gross in breach of trust, agreed that the American experiment was not working. The whole idea of self-rule was antithetical to the idea of divine right of kings and papal supremacy. So they signed the secret Treaty of Verona and agreed to undermine the American government. The British monarch issued letters of marque in reprisal to the British Crown Commercial Company, which controls the bankers and the lawyers, and issued licenses to the lawyers to act as privateers. That is why the Bar Association requires licenses. Anytime you see the word license, it means that someone in a position of rulership is giving someone else the license, permission, to do something that is otherwise illegal. In this case, the king gave the members of the Bar Association permission to act as privateers against American commercial vessels. Commercial vessels. They couch all this in seagoing terms because the jurisdiction is where they attack us is international admiralty and maritime commercial law. There are three jurisdictions defined by the Global Estate Trust established by the Roman Catholic Church circa 1450 AD: air, land, and sea. Each jurisdiction has its own law forms and natural venue and law. Its own law forms and natural venue and law forms. The air jurisdiction is global in nature and functions under canon law. The sea jurisdiction is international in nature and functions under admiralty law. The land jurisdiction is national in nature and functions under law of the land. We are naturally owed the law of the land, but these vermin have connived to redefine us as commercial vessels, and so enabled themselves to attack our estates in the unnatural jurisdiction of international admiralty. Our problem is that the lawyers and bankers contrived to usurp onto the land and to set aside the law of the land by presuming that we were missing presumed dead. Presuming that we were missing presumed dead, and that our estates were commercial vessels subject to maritime salvage liens. Using all this financial reasoning, they developed a highly efficient fraud machine, which they have wielded in international jurisdiction to rob, defraud, falsely arrest, conscript, and otherwise abuse the innocent American who respected these rotters as men of law, when in fact they have been operating as robbers and racketeers and extortion artists. All these defendants you see in court cases, none of them are living men and women of the same or similar name. They are all, without exception, corporate administrative franchises of either the United States, all caps, or the United States of America, all caps. Corporations that are merely named after the living victims. Listen up and learn fast. The living man or woman is either described in law as denoted using all small letters for their names, like John Quincy Adams, all lowercase, or John dash Quincy colon last name Adams, all lowercase, or John Quincy of the House Adams, J and Q capitalized, H and A capitalized. which is what I've been using. The foreign citizen trust set up by agents of the old Federal Reserve System were all named using upper and lowercase names like this, John Quincy Adams. The Roman inferior estate trusts set up by the United States, all caps, were all named using all capital letters like this, John Quincy Adams, all capitals. And the public utilities that they are setting up now in the next step of their fraud scheme are all named like John Q. Adams, all capital letters. The instant you see anything addressed to all capital letters name, you want to write back, let's see here. Where was I here? Okay. The instant you see anything addressed to John Q. Adams, you want to write back and protect the new name, which is not your name in any case, but which you must protect in order to keep them from rolling over your estate in this new commercial vessel and claiming that you have willingly contracted with them. Once again, it is a fraud all based on the similar names and semantic deceit and abuse of trust. Start taking it to the attorneys. Write your judicial counsels. Beard the president of the local bar association. Nab individual attorneys. Write them letters. Inform them that as of September 1st, 2013, they are all 100% commercially and individually liable for their acts of criminality, omission, and fraud. That is one of the effects of Pope Francis' first apostolic letter, which rewrote the International Criminal Code. In other words, tell the lawyer that their licenses are no good anymore and won't protect them when they act as pirates and privateers against the unsuspecting and innocent people who have been their prey for 100 years. The game is up, and now the hunters become the hunted. This goes back to that UCC filing that's on page 2 of the website here. Well, I have pursued it all on down the pike and have reclaimed control of my own estate and filed commercial liens against the United Nations, all caps, and the International Monetary Fund, all caps, and the United States, in all caps, in behalf of the states of America and me, the living woman. Then I have made an irrevocable will granting an equal interest in the claim to all Americans. So both the states and the people inhabiting the states now have a viable and timely commercial affidavit standing for their interest. The so-called Republic for the United States of America is just another private club claiming to represent us and resisting the fundamental premise and requirement of the actual republic that we each independently present ourselves. Speaking for myself, now and forever, I have had enough of being represented by all those who have been elected to public offices they haven't entered or honored, and I deny any ability of the volunteer members of the Republic for the United States of America to represent me either. All these representative bodies seek to mislead people into thinking that these groups are the legitimate government, which implies that the rest of us are not the legitimate government. In fact, we are each and every one of us the only government, and always have been. Delegating our authority via elections was only a method used to expedite administration of government services, nothing more or less. The game of representing people has become a means of theft, corruption, and deceit. We must recognize that representative government is at fault for this present circumstance, and that those elected to represent us have misrepresented us and lined their pockets and spilled our blood. We must further recognize that human nature being what it is, this is the predictable outcome of indulging in fantasies. To the extent that we delegate power to any other agent or agency from now on, it must be a conscious, official, individual act, not subject to the vagaries of elections, Diebold machines, or trust. We must each officially and individually choose individuals if we want them to carry our proxy, and we must saddle them with exact instructions and fiduciary accountability if we wish to continue the device of representative government at all. Okay, let's see here. This is interesting. Speaking to Mike Gardner, please forward my objection to the Republic for the United States of America leadership. I think maybe she's referring to Rusa. They have no standing except the same individual standing that we all possess. Their pretensions otherwise are unseemly and offensive, and so are the underlying assumptions that they proceed upon. They believe apparently that when they all get together and decide what should happen to or for the rest of us, that we are under obligation to honor their will instead of our own. They conceive of the whole being greater than the individuals making up the whole, which is a patent error of logic amounting to mental illness. Equal means equal. Collective representation is akin to collective guilt, impossibility. There is no such thing as collective guilt. There is only the guilt of individuals collected together. In the same way, there is no such thing as representative government, and never has been. There have only been groups of individual people pretending to represent others who have not presented themselves. This representation by omission is intrinsically fraudulent and open to abuse. We must face the facts and our own responsibilities without recourse to yet another private club claiming to represent everyone. It doesn't work. It never has. And making that mistake is how our country got into this mess in the first place. And that, my friends, is what I have for you so far. That is from Anna in Alaska. And remember that name. There are others that she is affiliated with. But that's a patriot. That's one who really loves her country. Understands the words that my life, my fortune, my sacred honor. That's it. She understands that. She lives it, walks it, breathes it. And has been in the background working all this time. You don't know her. I don't know her. I do now. I do now. Her words resonate. I hope they resonate with you as much as they have with me. And there will be more coming on this. But the outline of what we're dealing with and what we have to do is right here. You've just been given it. So, as more comes down the pike, we'll move it along to you. Again, a lot of this stuff is being posted at the, not a lot, it's all being posted right now at the scannedretina.com. That's SCANNEDRETINA.com, Scanned Retina. And this particular one is, just do a search in there, there's a search engine, nothing to discuss here. And you'll have plenty to deal with, plenty. So with that, I'm going to say good night. And again, this is Carl Alfred with your live network, which is YLN.tv. Good night, all.